Hey! Sorry, I'm gonna sit up. This is my first go at making a video with the other phone. You should read that in capitals. Do you remember in Korea, the phone I used for most things didn't accept a Korean SIM card, so I had another phone that took a Korean SIM card. That's the phone that I'm using now. So, let me backtrack. Monday, I last made a video for you Sunday evening after you went tubing. Monday, Mike and I, he had to pick up something in Germany, so we went to Germany. We just drove into Germany. He has a mailbox there. I don't know. And then we went to a castle, an old crumbled castle, and just like walked around because apparently castles, unicorns, and dragons are not all the same. In that castles are real, and unicorns and dragons are still up for debate. Yeah. So that was Monday. Tuesday, I went to the Antiken Museum, which is an old stuff museum. It had like ancient Roman and ancient Greek and ancient Egyptian like pottery and jewelry and shit stuff. They had an interesting exhibit called Happy Arabia, which was sort of centered around the place that was known as Arabia, which is, I guess, the southern part of Saudi Arabia, during the reign of the Queen of Sheba and all of that, like when it was called Sheba. So that was the stuff, like the artifacts they had from that time were not particularly interesting, but the text was. So I did that, and I went to the Cartoon Museum, which was very cool. And I went to the paper mill, which was awesome. It is an old paper mill, and then on each floor they have something about the production of paper and its use throughout history and books and book binding. But then also on each floor they have something and typesetting, typography. But also on each floor there's like a hands-on portion. So on the part that's about making paper and rags and the ragman and everything, then there's a visitor portion, like a visitor hands-on thing, where there's somebody staffing it and huge vats, and you can use most of the old equipment and like make your own paper. What could you do? You could make your own paper. You could use a typesetting stamp thing. I don't remember what the thing was with the book, and then you could like dye your own paper. There was like swirling colors on wallpaper paste onto paper. It was very cool. And then Mike and his friend Stefan and I went to swim in the Rhine, which we had these waterproof bags where we put all our stuff, and I had used one when we went tubing or rafting or whatever on Sunday and saw that it got a bit damp inside, so everything that was in it I put in a Ziploc bag, and in fact my phone went in a Ziploc bag on its own that went in another Ziploc bag with a few other things, non-critical things, and that all went into the waterproof bag. But that was not sufficient. It turns out, I don't know, that those Ziplocs had holes, or I didn't seal them well enough. I poured copious water out of the bag. The things that I had... really, my phone was the only loss, and a pack of gum. Fine. A glasses case got damp, it's fine. The case that held my Nook got a bit damp, but my Nook is fine. And the case is now alright, although it was deteriorating. Passport is fine. External battery pack's fine. One shirt, which I hadn't bagged, I had just sort of shoved down the side, was drenched, but it's a shirt. And my phone. But I didn't realize that had happened. And it was in water for a while, and it had been on, and it shut off. And then I put it in rice when we got back, but that was several hours later after we had dinner. And so the phone's dead. It's dead, Jim. So dead. Which, it's not the end of the world. There's not a whole lot on it that wasn't also backed up. My photos were all in the cloud except the ones from that day, which were on a memory chip, which is totally fine. I haven't checked it, but everybody says that memory chips they shouldn't go swimming, but it's not a big deal if they did go swimming, as mine did. And the phone had been used when I got it 2 years ago. So, and I had been thinking about getting a phone contract when I got back to Korea anyway, so this sort of pushes the point. I'll just get one that comes with a phone. Pay a little bit extra, will be fine. So right now I'm using, Mike gave me an iPhone, but I think I'm going to just not use it. I think I'm going to put the SIM card into this phone, if possible. And then he has an old iPhone 4-ish or something that, unlike this phone, can accept apps. This one's just too slow and old. So I was using that for Skype for interviews. So, oh, sorry, let me backtrack. Today's Thursday evening. So Wednesday I felt sort of bleh in the morning, so I stayed in for a bit, and then in the afternoon I went to the art museum, which was 3 different buildings. The first one was like old art, like some, mostly like the Jesus and gold leaf art, the ones where they paint that gold halo around it, or like the same time period as Girl with a Pearl Earring, that sort of like individual person sitting kind of thing. The second building was slightly more modern. They had a couple exhibits that were interesting. They had a Cézanne exhibit. They had an exhibit of Otto something, he was killed in the Holocaust as a Jew, but he was kind of Jewish. And he did like stained glass and very blocky, sort of solid colors, geometric stuff. And then they had an interesting exhibit. They had loaned 14 or 15 pieces to a museum in Museo de Prado, I think somewhere in Spain, maybe, from their Picasso collection. And so the museo responded, now that their exhibit is over, they responded and sent over some of their own stuff. So it was like showing the 2 collections in collaboration, or in dialogue, that's what they said. Hello Prado, it was called. So it was stuff from both collections, that one piece from this and one piece from that, and sort of all the stuff in a given room, by different artists, but depicted similar themes and sort of had a similar tone to it, which was very interesting. And then I went over to the third building, which was crap. It was a sort of postmodern nonsense that came about with Dadaism. There was a video called Tina Turning, and it was 8 minutes long of a girl turning. There was a piece that was literally a pipe, and it was sort of like against the wall, and there was a note that was like, this isn't actually attached to anything, it's literally a pipe leaning on the wall, be careful. So, whatever. That was Wednesday. Today, Thursday, I had an interview in the morning with one of the public schools, the first of 3 that I will have interviews with soon. And I might need to call you or Ima. We'll see, because I need to get documentation for my visa again, and I can't quite risk waiting until I get there to do most of it. And then, so I had that interview, and then today Mike and I went to a toy museum, much better than the other one, sort of a history of toys. They were grouped thematically and by materials and time. It was very interesting. And they had a Heidi exhibit, which made me want to reread that book, and a winemaking exhibit. It was sort of like this tiny little set of tiny town museums. And then we went to something called the Baylor Foundation, which usually has a great collection, but didn't now. They didn't really have their collection on display. They had some Warhol, and they had this other guy, whose name I'm blanking on, who did photography, and some of it, overall, the collection of photography was very interesting, and you sort of got a tone from all of it, but a lot of the photos, I looked at them and I was like, not only could I have taken this, but I have taken photos similar to this. So it's another conversation about what is art really and who says. So there was one piece that was called Man Peeing on a Chair, which was a blown up photo the size of a massive, massive museum wall. And indeed was a man, pants dropped, pissing on a chair. I, I would call that destruction of property, but whatever. We're now at 10.5 minutes. I'm so sorry. But these might be longer as they get less frequent due to a phone struggle. The plan for tomorrow, I don't really know. But there's a play I want to see, the Blythe Spirit. It's the English Theatre Company here. And then this weekend there is a Lindy Hop workshop down by the harbor, which should be really nice. And then next week, either Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're going to go on sort of a tour de Suisse. We're going to drive around Switzerland and also hit up, Italy, Austria, and Liechtenstein, because we can. Today on our walk, we walked for a bit, and I just, meandered across the border with Germany. I just walked into Germany. Nobody said anything. It was just the woods. There's just, a little signpost that's like, this is Germany, just so you know. That's it. It was just nuts. I don't understand Europe. And then next Thursday, I'm hoping to go to Quidditch in Zurich, so we'll see how that goes. I'm sorry this video is so long. I love you. Bye!